podcast, and you know.
Vince McDonald. You guys are live. You guys are live, by the way.
We're live.
Just talk. This is a test.
Will, we didn't get a countdown.
Will, I love you.
Will, we didn't
so
get any
much.
countdown here.
So hello from the other way.
Take it out of the way. We're live.
We're not live on YouTube.
Yes, we are, Tate.
What the heck?
So if you get out the way, you did.
Stop.
We're doing a test stream right now, Tate.
I'm looking at this camera.
Wait,
My name is Jackson Hawker. Today, me and the Brady Bunch, I guess, are going to be talking about sports.
Yeah.
That's the main camera. This is the tight
I
camera.
know it's a tight camera, so I'm looking at it, Tate.
We're talking about March
This
Madness,
is-
first, right?
We're talking about March Madness, guys, and if you're not with it, now you are.
Hell
Tate,
yeah.
I'm looking at your camera. God, stop moving it around.
Tate, can I please have that pillow?
That's why BIU.
Tate, he has a hemorrhoid. He has to sit on it.
All right, let's
I
get
ain't freaking. I
guys.
got a hemorrhoid.
Guys, let's go into March Madness now. Let's get this going.
All right, so who do you guys have in
Okay,
your
is
phone?
this, did you set up a new event? Did you set up a new event?
I just. What would it look like?
Okay, can we stop that please, because that's gonna hit one of my cameras and then.
Brady, dude.
Wait,
Yo,
what's a hemorrhoid?
You're so. How much you ask?
Oh yeah, I was actually not dead.
Oh, Arthur.
That's back.
Okay, so now do we wanna try the setting up a new event, or,
This is a cool
What do you
photo
mean
there.
setting up a new event?
cause I just went on live, like the live, and it's just black screen.
Hello from the other
Have you hit stream? Have you hit live?
Yeah.
Like, it should be going live?
Yeah.
To tell you,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just. It
Oh.
just got me putting it in the background.
well,
This test is going great.
Will, Will Twitter has
Yeah.
a splinter.
Jackson Hawker. You guys want to talk sports, or you just gonna?
I want to talk about Will Twitter and how cute he is.
all right, let's start this off.
Flag. You are on YouTube.
I hope I'm on YouTube.
Oh,
I pray I'm on YouTube
he's
talking
not
about how
taking
cute you
that
are.
back. But anyway, let's talk about March Madness. Cash Belzer, give me your final four right
Doing that.
All right, I'll give you my
All right.
final four right now. I'm gonna break it down. I know my stuff. You know,
No,
I've
you
done a lot of
don't.
studying. You know, I got.
He just pulled this up right now.
Yeah, I'm just so I don't forget any team stuff. No,
Oh,
listen.
Go.
okay.
Go.
All right, so my first number one team that I think is for sure in March Madness Final Four is Auburn. No doubt, they dominated all year. They got the
One
best
loss.
college basketball player, arguably in the entire
Not better than Eric Dixon.
thing.
Okay.
We got, and then I'm gonna give number two. I'm thinking a little bit of a Duke, the Cooper Flag, and all the talent they got because
Yep.
they also have good bench. They have Isaiah Evans, arguably the sixth man of the year in college basketball, no doubt. And then for my third, I'm probably gonna give this one to St. John's, just because they win a lot. They actually have a good coach. Even though Rick Pitino got in trouble earlier in his career, he knows basketball. So, in my fourth, it's either a toss-up. I have Michigan State, or I got Missouri because Missouri's on a roll. They play defense. They can shoot. They have bench talent. And the Michigan
Did you
State.
say 5 teams?
What? No, I said my fourth spot's up for two teams, Missouri, and then Michigan State, just because they play really good defense. But what's going to get them in trouble is they don't have a true shooter. So those are my final four right there.
Try not to, don't take it unless he's got the shot. Okay, so like, you were like zooming in, he took it. So wait, so get your shot quickly.
I'm also
Right.
not paying 100% attention to what camera I'm picking right now.
There's a
Okay,
crunch
But,
box.
so that means, so what does that mean?
You know what can
moving
help me
forward?
out?
Might
If you
have
all
a banner.
sit in your
Once I
position
get a
and stop
minute, it's
moving
simple as
around.
clicking
I know
this
Hey
you
Tate,
button.
maybe you should get a better haircut and learn how to
So,
operate a
it's
camera.
simple as
You'll
clicking
be
this
fine.
button.
Oh,
Then I can focus on the camera. But I just gotta get them in here.
Bring it
okay,
on.
you said got him in there. Got it.
This is outrageous. This is live.
Okay, it's live.
You wanna go?
Yeah. So here's my issue, Cash. St. John's, they're 3-4 in quad one, right? All three of those quad one wins are against in-conference teams that are very unproven and did absolutely nothing in non-con.
Okay, but when you talk about March Madness,
They lost to
when
Baylor
when
by
you talk about
1
March
point in
Madness,
double overtime.
you're acting like March Madness is more
Top
of like
15 team.
is a game where it's like you know Cinderella runs. You know they don't beat teams that have great. It's just March how it goes. St.
So-
John's has the talent to do what they do.
Okay, so here's my issue with that. These people try and predict Cinderella runs, like, oh, this is my Cinderella team. And sure, you can do that for a couple upset picks. But to go into it and just say, oh, I'm picking this team to make the Final Four, unless there's some abnormally hot team like NC State last year.
I think St. John's is totally hot.
They're definitely hot.
They're
hot.
They're super hot
I
right
don't
now.
care. They're playing how they've been playing all year. They're
I need to
26
see what camera shot was.
They just lost their fourth game less than 2 weeks ago, so I would assume.
I think they're hot.
So would you say Clemson's
So,
hot?
I'm asking you, would you say that? Yes, obviously Clemson's hot, but anyway. Is St. John's be above and beyond what they've been playing all year long right now at this point?
I think they've been playing their best ball.
I think St.
They're not a
John's.
Cinderella team by any means, but they're.
I'm not saying Cinderella team, but I'm saying they are a Final Four team.
I agree. No, I'm sorry for acting like they're a Cinderella team. They're a 3-seeded team, but they're not one of those 3 seeds that are going to get the Final Four.
You know, I'm gonna, you know, we can get back on the St. John's conversation, but I have 2 teams in college basketball that I think have no shot. Give me 2 teams that you guys all have no shot making Final Four.
St.
I
Mary's.
have
St.
Florida.
Mary's stinks.
I have Florida and Tennessee. They have no shot to make the Final Four.
I disagree with the Tennessee take.
I was going to disagree with Tennessee. I think Florida. I think they arguably have the best offense in college basketball.
I don't think it's the best offense. I wouldn't say that.
It's
Off the
it's
bench,
arguable.
they don't have anything.
It's arguably.
What would I do?
But they have one of the best
I'm
offenses.
planning
You'll
on
give me
switching
best.
tomorrow.
They're definitely top
I'm just
5.
getting the graphics in here for today.
I wouldn't say
Definitely.
top 5, but is it?
That's crazy. Is
I
that what
wouldn't
you
say.
said?
I wouldn't say they're the most consistent offense. I would say the most consistent offense right now is Duke. Right now.
I'd say the most consistent offense right now is Auburn.
Yeah, no, it's different.
Okay, I would say Auburn, but I wouldn't say they're consistent on offense.
They're just a
Auburn?
consistent team.
I would say
Auburn's
they're
got-
overall they're
Auburn's
very
got the-
consistent.
No, but Auburn's got the 13th best defense and by far the best offense. They're an offensive team. Are you?
Florida definitely. When Florida gets hot, they probably have one of the best offense, if not the best.
Auburn by far is the best offense in basketball.
I wouldn't say by far. They don't have the most talent.
Doesn't matter about talent. It matters about if you're going to score. I don't care who has the best talent. It matters who puts up the most points at the end of the day. If you can
Honestly,
outscore your opponents,
If
or
we go
defense
back to
doesn't matter.
teams that do well in March Madness, the teams that do the most have the most depth.
Hold your shot.
When I think of depth, I think of Duke.
I don't.
I think of Missouri. Missouri.
I think
Missouri.
Michigan State.
care. I don't care with Auburn and Duke. Auburn's just the same team but much older. They've just got double the age.
I wouldn't say they're the same team.
Think about
I
it.
wouldn't say
These guys are practicing.
Auburn doesn't have a guy like Isaiah Evans.
Yes, they do.
They don't have a guy like Con Knuckle.
They don't need the names. They've got a guy. They definitely have a guy like Conklin Newport in their point guard, and then we both know Janai Broom, he's definitely better than Cooper Flag at the college level. So
I wouldn't say that's argument. I don't think so.
you don't think that Janai Broom's guaranteed better than Cooper Flag?
He's not guaranteed, no.
No. No. So if you're between Janai Broom on your team,
If you watch a Duke game,
I will have to say, for right now, I'm going to have to say Cooper Flag. As we're getting later into the season and Cooper Flag is growing as a collegiate athlete, he's become a better scorer, just better overall player in every aspect. I'd probably have him on my team if I were to be a college coach right now.
yeah, I gotta disagree with that.
I mean,
Cooper Flag does. If you watch a Duke game and you watch an Auburn game, Cooper Flag does so much more on the court. Like gives way
Cooper
more
Flag is
gives
just
way more value on the court than Janai Broom.
Cooper Flag is a way more
Like-
fluid
like
and
you
natural
Gives
scorer.
way more.
Like you said, Duke's 10
Way
times
more fluid and natural scorer. I believe he's top 10.
It doesn't matter. College isn't about all-around NBA talent. College.
I'm not saying he's an all-around NBA talent. I'm saying he's a
Janai
fluid
Broom
scorer who
has
can score from
more-
anywhere on the court.
Janai Broom is far more.
We don't, okay, but I'll say one thing. You're making it sound like that UConn. I mean, you're making it sound like Auburn's like a UConn the past. Like they're
Auburn
nowhere
this
near
year-
UConn.
Auburn this year is better than UConn was last year. Auburn
Not the year before that.
Auburn
Not
this
the year
year-
before. I would never pick an
the
Auburn.
year before that. Are you calling 2022 UConn better than last year's UConn?
I'm saying both UConns are better than Auburn.
Okay, but go back. You're saying 4-seeded UConn is better than last year's UConn.
Okay, you know, I think we can get off this. I think we should talk about what conference.
Clearly, number 1 seed
It-
UConn would be better. I don't know why you're trying to argue that.
Because he just said that.
Janai Broom's played way less games too, and Cooper Flag's played I think every single game.
How many games has Janai Broom played? Let's check. Hey, who's better than Eric Dixon though? You can't make that argument.
Games played so far 27. Cooper Flag so far this season.
Janai Broom hasn't played near as
He's
much games
he's
as that.
played 29.
Oh, 2 less. Oh, I'm sorry.
2 games is a pretty big deal. Okay, let's move move on to
It's not
this.
like he's missed any games.
Let's
It's not a huge
This
deal.
team's
Let's move on to this. Move on to this.
What do you guys think of the NFL Combine?
I love the NFL Combine. I think there are a lot of wins, a lot of losses. I think the biggest loss was Isaiah Bond. You don't really come out saying that you're going to run the fastest 40 of all time and then run, what was that, did you run a 4.4?
Yeah, like a 4.5.
It was really,
Okay, this might be a little biased, but from the quarterback standpoint, I think Brady Cook
that's,
is
no.
played so well in the combine. Am I wrong?
Did he do well in the Combine, but he's not a standout.
I'm gonna pull.
I'm taking the guy from Memphis all day. If you're going based off just Combine performance, I don't know if you guys watched, but that Memphis quarterback had a phenomenal
I'm going
Combine.
Brady.
If you look at his deep passes, they're always in the
I
pocket.
personally thought Will Twinner stood out.
I thought Will Twinner was probably the best offensive line back all year. See, look at that, blocking shots. I mean, put him at center.
How'd you sneak that in? I didn't even realize.
Brady snuck it in.
Okay,
Ran
but-
with it.
I'm sorry, Will.
Brady snuck it in.
I'm gonna tell you, it was a letdown in the combine. I think Quinn Ewers was a total letdown in the combine. Quinn Ewers might be the most overrated quarterback I've ever.
When you
Watch the Combine?
Quinn Ewers had a terrible combine, bad combine. He had a.
This has been trash.
I think the best combine was definitely the corner, the defensive back out of Iowa. He had a phenomenal combine. I think he really raised his draft stock. He ran a 4.340, jumped out of the roof. I mean, there were a whole bunch of guys, and then Landon,
Okay,
Landon
but-
Jackson, defensive end out of Arkansas, measurables outstanding.
But again,
Vertical, his vertical is a 44.
but again,
Face the camera.
Big old boy, jumping a 44. And you have Armand Mebu from Lee Summit North. I mean, don't want to glaze here, but stud. M-I-Z-Z-O-U, baby.
Not a stud.
Definitely a
It's the
stud.
Bears draft him.
Definitely a
I'm
stud.
angry.
I don't think he'd be angry. He's a top 15
Okay,
player in the
but
NFL
also
draft. He is a top
If I'm-
15 player in the NFL draft. You're all right.
If I'm an NFL team right now, I wouldn't even
He's
consider
projected to go 12 in every mock draft.
I wouldn't draft off combine races. We tried that with Anthony Richardson. We saw it happen to him.
Second to top
It's
right
not true.
corner.
He was going number 4 either way.
It's,
I really don't
I don't think he was
going
going number 4 either way. I would say it was a toss
I
up.
don't know what this narrative is that Zach Wilson's stock suddenly climbed. Zach Wilson was mocked number 2.
Never said Zach Wilson blind.
I know. But most people have. Zach Wilson.
Anthony, all I'm saying is Anthony Richardson. The uncertainty
can't
on
just
Anthony
draft.
Richardson quietly went away after his combine.
Combine, I promise you
He's
it.
still, I still think the Colts.
No,
He
no,
would
no,
not
because
have
because what did they worry about? What did they worry about?
The Colts needed a quarterback. Though.
They did need a quarterback.
You think they would have taken Will Levis at 4?
They still had Phillip Rivers.
No, they didn't. He retired.
He had it. If they didn't take a
Carson
quarterback,
Wentz.
do you think he was going back?
Yeah, no.
You don't think he was going back?
No.
I think the most underrated quarterback in the NFL combine this year was most definitely Jackson Dart. He put on a show.
Jackson Dart's trash.
Jackson Dart is trash.
I think Jackson Dart has some underlying character issues, but besides that, I think he put on a phenomenal show. I just don't know how well he's going to be able to take coaching at the next level. And there are some people who said from articles that I've read that he's not the best teammate in the game.
should it be better?
But
As a Mizzou, I love Mizzou, man, and I think the Mizzou players showed out at the combine. I mean, Armand Membo, you run a 4.9 at that big. What is he? 6'4", 335. Big dog. And we have Brady Cook. He put on a show.
Luther Burden running up. One thing I'm not getting is how Luther Burden is falling in the draft. I mean, people have him. I think my personal opinion.
When you're getting he was getting doubled. I mean,
He's a top 2 receiver in this NFL.
when you're getting doubled.
I don't think Territory McMillan, however you say it. I don't think he's your guy. I think at max you're getting a Drake London if you hit. If you hit on him and he progresses the way you want him to progress, you have a Drake London. You have a decent one, but I don't think he's anything special.
I'm personally thinking Dak Prescott.
I think Luther Burden's an absolute stud. I do because Luther Burden at Mizzou, he could run it, he could rush, but he could also.
I mean, a lot of.
And
A lot of
you
guys
guys
can rush.
forget,
Okay,
he was getting double
you can't just say he can rush. A lot of receivers could rush the ball, where they just weren't given the opportunity. I mean, it's
but do we
cool
know
that
that?
he was
But do
able.
we know that?
Do we know that? I mean, just try
We
to
don't
be
know
receiver. Really, did Xavier Worthy rush in college? At Texas, did Xavier Worthy rush
Was he
in
strong?
college?
Was he strong enough for him? We saw what the
Is he
Chiefs.
strong now?
We saw
He's
what
still a $170.
we saw with the Chiefs. Xavier Worthy
Seriously.
is nothing.
It depends on the playbook. I mean, everyone can rush. Is it cool to have? Is it going to draw comparisons to Debo Samuel and guys like that? Yeah. just because he rushed. I think he's a way different receiver than that.
I think he also brings the
I
value.
think
also
he brings value in his separation, and I think he brings value in his hands. I don't really care if he can rush the ball. I think he also brings value in his
If
size.
he
He can
brings-
knock off defending corners and safeties with brush. I mean, seriously.
So honestly, I honestly don't know this. What do they have going as a top receiver right now?
The number one, Territorial McMillan, or
Oh, the guy from Arizona. Yeah, T-Mac.
who I really don't think is that good. Does he have long arms and a big catch radius? Yeah, but can he get separation? So if you watch the
but he
tape,
also played
Territorial
probably in
McMillan
arguably
can
the
only
worst
get separation
conference
when he
in
uses
football
physical attributes.
Arizona.
He
He also played not at the best strong conference. Luther Burden played in the SEC.
I mean, I'm not
Did he
disagreeing
play in
with you.
Big Ten?
Big Ten won the conference this year. They
You think the Big Ten won out of all the conferences this year? I think this was a down year for the SEC. I won't lie.
Yeah, I think Big Ten by far is.
I think SEC basketball though, it's no doubt the best conference. No
I
doubt.
agree with that.
I mean, that's.
Not even a question.
I mean, you have the number one. You have 3 out of the top 4 teams right now. If I'm not mistaken, SEC has 3 out of the top 4 teams,
And
in
by
NCAA.
far the most deep conference.
and they probably have about. I think they have 6 or 7 out of the top 10. So I mean, SEC basketball is really killing. And then Will Twinner brought this up the other day. There were a lot of bad, what would you call that? Sports reporters saying that the SEC is a bad conference because we've gone 500 in conference play. You don't know what that means. Every time an SEC team beats an SEC team, one wins, one loses. So
Yeah.
I
that's kind of how that has to work.
I think Vanderbilt, if they get in the March Madness,
Stop.
they could be a legit team.
Stop.
I think Cash Bills are.
I think they beat an overrated Mizzou.
Okay,
I
first
think
off,
they
first
beat
off.
an overrated Mizzou with that they had to go to overtime.
Mizzou
with.
is overrated.
Mizzou is overrated.
I wouldn't say so.
I think Mizzou beating Alabama showed more about Alabama than it did so Missouri.
Let's
I
look
think
at this.
Mizzou
Let's
has
look.
some great players.
Vanderbilt also beat.
I think Mark Mitchell will be a great player in the NBA. I think he has. Oh, you don't think so?
Mark's been a little.
He was a 5-star
I don't
for a
think he's
reason.
gonna do that.
Did he have a bad stint at Duke? Yeah, but he just needed a year.
I don't think
March
he's gonna
Madness.
do
Okay, Mark Mitchell going to the NBA being great that's insane. Because if you're 6'9", those guys,
He's gonna be a
those
great
guys
role
his size,
He's
that
gonna
can
be a
shoot
great.
the ball.
He's gonna just be a great role player.
He's never gonna beat you.
He'll get he'll be second.
Okay, so
Jaden Wells. Jalen Wells out of Memphis, second round draft.
can I go to this with you guys? It's like Vanderbilt. I knew this. Vanderbilt beat Tennessee. They beat A&M. Beat Mizzou, and they hang with good teams. So I think they could also be a good March Madness team that can go either way.
Yeah.
Look at their other losses.
You know what all
They
three-
lost to Drake. Look at that
You know what
loss.
all 3 of those games have in common?
They
Drake's
lost to.
that was when Drake was hot. That was when Drake.
Okay, they lost to Oklahoma, and they lost to Kentucky, which Kentucky has not played well, and God knows how. Kentucky is going to probably have another 2 or 3 rough years behind this new head coach. I think he'll put it together. As knowing Kentucky fans, nobody expected Kentucky to come in this
I
year,
think BYU could be a
especially with a new
good
coach.
team.
Wrap it up.
If-
My name's Jackson Hawker. Thanks for watching.
Very good.
I'll give you a silent signal